Welcome back to the channel, folks, and to another battle report. This week we've got one of the games from our October meetup at Nightly Gaming in Bathgate. It's got two giants of the channel squaring off against each other, and that's Peter and Laurence. We'll go over to the lists in a minute, you'll see them before the game, but Peter is choosing defend and Laurence is choosing attack. And you'll see the lists they've got, you can see why those choices are there. The mission they're playing is Breakthrough, which is a tricky one for a defender, I think. We'll start by looking at the mission, and then we'll go over on with the lists and on with the game. Breakthrough then, folks, it's a mission that has got challenges for both attacker and defender. The defender is going to have to get themselves up out of the two blue deployment zones there, wherever they're going to start from, and move into the objective zone. And the attacker's got to get into that zone, which in some ways could involve going straight across the line of defence the defender has set up, but it could also mean they're going to be subject to flank attacks from both reserves and from ambushes. Now you can see where the defender's reserves will come on from, in the corner of the deployment zones, and at least one platoon of the attackers will be coming in on the corner of the objective zone. So there's a lot going on here. Really quite mobile kind of fight, so it pays to have mobile elements in your list as a defender. Special rules for the mission are quite simple and straightforward. It's immediate reserves for the defender, delayed reserves for that, well, delayed flanking reserves rather, for that one platoon at least of the attacker, and an ambush for the defender, and lots of decisions for both players to make. Here is Laurence's Panzer Brigade list. So it's built around a core of a HQ of 2 Panzer IVs, 2 platoons of 4 Panzer IVs, with a platoon of 3 Stugs. It's also got 4 Whirlwinds in the formation as well, I believe, and it's got support from 6 anti-aircraft half-tracks, 4 Volkshetzers, 2 SS King Tigers, and then 4 Volks 10.5cm artillery. So these guys aren't the best artillery, but it's a hell of a lot of stuff all around. The quality's not great, but the numbers are great, and it can really dish out a lot of shots. Here is Peter's US battle-weary infantry formation of 2 platoons of infantry, 57mm anti-tank guns, mortars and light 10.5 artillery, so they're part of the formation. He's using the miniatures for the sort of the main heavy 10.5s, but they're part of the formation. And he's got a Hellcats formation, which is 3 platoons of 4 with the HQ and a security section. A familiar list that we've seen him use before on the channel. So the mission is Breakthrough, with objectives placed here and here. Peter is on the left and right, as you can see, and Laurence coming in from the far corner. Laurence's reserves will come in on this corner. Peter is deployed here with infantry and artillery and his 57mm. He's got more infantry with the HQ over on this side, and the mortars are there, and he also has a platoon of 4 Hellcats in ambush. Laurence has deployed so he can make a very quick go with an outflanking manoeuvre as well for that objective in the centre of the table. Laurence loves charging up a road in this kind of a mission, and he's just grouping everything together and he's heading out. He's protecting his right flank with some Panzer IVs and anti-aircraft half-tracks, and they can also sweep around and potentially attack Peter's artillery, and his other flank is being protected by the Hetzers and the Whirlwinds. He's just got so much stuff that he can cover all his sides with this list. Laurence has started his shooting by putting down a smoke barrage to prevent an early ambush against those Panzer IVs that are moved right up onto the objective in turn 1. Now remember, objectives don't go live till turn 6 in this game, folks. And then the rest of the shooting is just against the church and the infantry in the field, but needing 6s and 7s, didn't get any hits. So US turn 1. Peter was thinking about do a pop and ambush, but he was very limited. He had an option here that can maybe deal with those half tracks, but with front armour 2 against anti-tank 5, it would be vulnerable to the survivors. Thought about over there as well, didn't choose it, so he's going to hold on to his ambush just for the moment. He didn't get any reserves either, but then we noticed that Laurence had forgot his reserves. He has got to have 1 platoon in reserve, so he took the Hetzers away. And then in terms of movement for the Yanks, there's going to be a movement over towards the woods and protect that objective to try and dig in there for turn 6. And at the other objective, Peter is moving the platoon of infantry that doesn't have anything to attack it yet, moving them over towards that objective, but they'll take another turn to get there. There's a target-rich environment for the Yanks here just now, folks, so what can fire will be firing, starting with that pre-ranged in 10.5, 105mm rather, battery, and they've got a couple of targets under there, 2 Stugs and the HQ. So they managed to hit one of the Stugs and one of the HQ. Remember, these guys are aggressive, so they hit on a 3+. But you know, it's going to take a lot to kill these tanks, and both of them make their save. Really the best they could hope for there would be a Bale. And then we have one bazooka going for a side shot onto a Panzer IV, and he gets a hit. So the Sures are no help here. That will give the Panzer IV a chance to get a save, and it needs a 6 to bounce it completely, and gets a 5. So that ends up as 1 bailed out Panzer IV, so that's not too bad. The 57mm anti-tank guns behind the railway station got a couple of hits on the AA half-track. Laurence tried to get mistaken target to the ones at the back, managed to shift one but not the other, straight to firepower, and it's a 4 up here, so 2 dead half-tracks. There's still 4 left though. So German turn 2, the bailed out Panzer IV didn't get back in. You can see the half-tracks making a real nasty threat against one of Peter's flanks there. The Werble ones beside the church, they're just going to keep rolling forward towards the objective, and a lot of other things are going to stay put and do some shooting this turn. Laurence is starting his shooting by trying to kill those anti-tank guns. The anti-aircraft half-tracks managed to get 1 hit, and Peter wants to use mistaken target to get the end guy, but he makes his save. But there's plenty more vehicles out there ready to fire, so Laurence is going to start with these Panzer IVs firing through this gap here. 1 Panzer IV is short range and 2 are long range, needing quite a bit to hit you guys against these careful anti-tank guns, so no hits from those Panzer IVs. So far the 57mm are holding out, and they've survived 4 dice from King Tigers too, but now it's over to the Volks artillery. They need a 6 to range in, but they manage it straight away. So there's 2 underneath the template, and they manage to get 1 of them. Peter fails to save. The 10.5's got a good firepower on a 3 up, so that is 1 of the 57mm gone. So over to the Stugs near the wood. 2 dice, needing 6s, and they got 2 hits, believe it or not. And another failed save, past firepower, so they've done well, but they're down to just 1 gun. Laurence still has plenty more things to fire, and over by the wood, the Panzer IVs get loads and loads of shots, but not too many hits. Unfortunately, one of those hits killed a bazooka. And then the Werble ones who are supporting them, they're also opening up, and they got another couple of hits, nothing devastating, but they got the last surviving bazooka. So the infantry that moved up to defend that objective don't have any anti-tank weapons anymore. Not a good turn for them. Laurence ended up the turn with a few more shots at other infantry with tanks that were a bit further back to no effect, and then a failed shoot and scoot with his King Tigers. US starting step, and the surviving 57mm unfortunately ran away. The infantry in the wood though, they at least have unpinned and wondering what they can do without any bazookas. Peter's decided he can't hold off his ambush any longer. He rolls for reserve, doesn't get reserves unfortunately. It would be great if he could get 2 platoons in at the same time, but you can see the ambush on the hill. In terms of movement, these infantry have moved onto the objective, ready to dig in. The guys in the wood have managed to dig in, and we're just double checking here. There is 1 base that is within 4 inches of the objective at the edge of the wood. Peter's shooting has started with a smoke bombardment. He wants to cut off all those tanks that are currently behind the railway line. That will allow him to concentrate on much less tanks and reduce the fire coming back at his ambushing platoon. Peter's then ranged in with his artillery onto the half-tracks, and he's got 3 hits, but they all make their saves. Now on to the ambushing platoon, and Peter's decided he's going to shoot the half-tracks. The half-tracks can't hurt him with their anti-tank 5 against his front armour 2, and they've got lots of dice, so he's targeting them. Personally, I would have gone for the Panzer 4s because of his anti-tank 13 with his high velocity armour piercing. As it is, he manages to get 5 hits, and there are 4 half-tracks, and the result is going to be 3 dead and 1 bailed.
That's what you deserve.
It's always the same. At least they've got that smoke to protect them. It's just these guys. German turn 3 starting step. The Panzer III by the wood that was bailed has remounted. The half-track by the train station did not remount, but it at least did not run away. And a row for reserves, the 1 platoon, the Hetzers. Here they come. And here are the reserves entering the table into what can only be described as a target-rich environment. German movement. Some armour is moving through the smoke screen to get shots up on the hill. The King Tigers are just manoeuvring at the moment to watch their flanks because of reserves potentially arriving from the flanks. Elsewhere they're going to stay put and shoot. German turn 3 shooting, and Laurence is turning every gun to them. He wants to kill those Hellcats, and he's starting with artillery. So he's managed to get ranged in on the hill there first attempt, which is good for his poorly trained Volks artillery, and he's got a couple of Hellcats and 1 gun under the template, and he manages to get 1 of the Hellcats, but Peter, he's got top armour 0 against anti-tank 3, Peter rolls a 4, so he manages to make the save. It's going to go straight through. The Panzer IVs beside the train station, they've got 8 dice between them because they didn't move, need 6s, they get 1 hit, and it goes straight to firepower, and we end up with 1 dead Hellcat.
And 3 Stooks.
Maybe a bit of short range in there.
So he's close, rest along.
He didn't move, the rest did, or the Stooks all moved.
Stooks gone, yeah.
So the Stook that's close range on a 5.
No.
1 range. And then 3 dice from them.
3 dice from them. 4s, 1 hit.
This guy.
Straight to firepower then. He's another corner.
So 4 dice needing 5s, please.
Here.
Yes.
He needs 6s. Slow firing. So 1 straight to firepower. Failed. So 1 failed. Oh, they may get back in. The shooting at the infantry was a bit of a mixed bag. The guys in the woods, no hits, nothing successful there at least, but the Werber ones chopped the poor mortars to bits. They're down to 2 bases, which means that they're now in a last stand, though to be honest the mortars can't really hurt anything and have done their smoke barrage already. US turn 3 starting step. The mortars unpin and they stay, and the Hellcat that's bailed out doesn't get back in, which means a last stand, but they manage to pass. And will Peter get his reserves? He's only going to get the 1, folks. Peter's brought his reserves on in the other table quarter. The table quarter his ambush went in was just getting a bit too exposed. So here he's trying to deploy the Hellcats in a way where he can take as much defilade as possible and concentrate on killing one platoon, forcing the other tanks to move if they want to fire back at him. The 2nd Infantry platoon have dug in on the objective, and you can see over there where the Hellcats have finally lined up what can see them and what they can see. It's quite a neat deployment. Peter is blitzing the Hellcat on the hill and passes. Blitz, not surviving. Whoa!
He's not running away, is he, here?
So he's going to get a line of sight of those bad guys and maybe get a couple of shots down. Peter's starting the shooting by firing his artillery. Now from where they are, there's very limited visibility, for various reasons, for available spotters and so on. So he's going to range in on the Panzer IVs behind the train station. He successfully ranges in. Oops. And he manages to get 3 hits. But, artillery can do wonders or nothing at all, and in this case, Laurence has made all of his saves. The Hellcat that blitzed behind the hill is having a go at the Hetzers, and they manages to get 2 hits, which is very good. Now, at that kind of range, they've got a half-decent chance of saving with the front armour going up to 8, but Laurence only rolls a 4, and subsequent firepower, though, is only a bale.
Yeah, so
Try and
in the centre there, so fives,
yeah. 4, 1, and a 5. Right, I have to re-roll successful, so fives. 5 needed. Nope. So no hits.
Where's your
The Hellcats arriving from reserve have only got 1 dice each, remember, no stabilisers. 3 at short range managed to get 1 hit because there's concealment. The 1 at long range doesn't manage a hit. So there was a wee bit of discussion on what tank it was going to go on. In the end, 1 Panzer IV straight to firepower because it went on the side and it was destroyed. Undead Panzer IV. German Turn 4 starting step. The half-track remounted and got back in, but the Hetzer over on the far side from reserves did not remount. German Turn 4 movement, so Laurence wants to get as many dice as possible down onto those Hellcats, but it's tricky for him because of how Peter deployed them when he brought them on from the table, so a little bit of manoeuvring required there. And by the railway station, the Panzer IVs are moving up and looking to get line of sight onto the 105mm artillery. What's this shooting? The Hetzers. So 1 hit. You can mistaken target thingamajiggery. And you do. So firepower on the bale. He's a gun. He's refusing to go.
So 3 shots.
Yeah.
This unit, he can probably see this guy. This push.
You can maybe see the one further back as well.
So the chap out here.
And that's a hit.
And then these 2.
No, so 1 hit.
that guy.
Yeah, oh.
And it's a gunner. Good shooting. Now at the objective in the wood, or in front of the wood I should say, the Panzer IVs are going to try and get rid of some more of those infantry, in particular the one that is dug in within 4 inches of the objective. There's a couple of hits, but no successful kills. Laurence is now firing everything with line of sight against the Hellcats. He manages to get 1 hit from the Panzer IVs that are fired out of quite a few dice, but that 1 hit is straight to firepower and is a kill. Now Laurence is trying to use laser guns, which is totally unfair. I mean, they've only got armour too anyway, Laurence.
So this guy can only see probably the guy at the this chap. You can see both of them. So close range or long range or long range?
These guys?
Yeah, these two.
They're the long range.
Long, yeah.
So the chap here, 6 foot. The other chap.
Oh, another one.
Can you see them all? Or?
Right, just the end guy.
So straight firepower, another goner. Just too many shots coming in.
Don't think he can shoot anyone anymore.
No.
These two.
Yeah, so these will shoot the mortar men. They will shoot their shots needing
Yeah. Actually, yeah, he's concealed.
so he'll be on 5 then.
2 hits.
And then on
4.
2 hits each.
2 hits each.
and then I'll just roll the dice. And then 6 for the mortar men.
And then
1, 5.
it's a short and long. Looks short, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure.
5. 3.
3 hits and mortar. First guy saves, next guy saves. And then you got saves on
Well, I can't. What was firepower?
anti-tank is
5.
5 against 2.
Yep,
So how many hits you got altogether? With
2 each.
2 each. This guy.
Potential kill. Firepower versus a bale.
Fail.
And the other one.
Potential bale. One potential bale is a bale, so they're both bailed. The rest of the shooting, the King Tigers are just shooting at infantry. They're too far back to be effective in this fight, and the Stoogs are going at the infantry on the far objective. Let's not forget the artillery. They managed to shift their target, rearranged in, and got a bale on the last surviving Hellcat. Not a good day to be a Hellcat. So, starting step for the Yanks, the artillery, rallies, the Hellcat, 4 up for a remount.
4.
No. And you got remounts here as well.
This guy.
No.
This guy.
Yes.
Alright, so.
They're okay, so it's just last stands now.
This guy.
The Hellcat in the hill. 6.
And then. Last stand here.
Another Hellcat, it's a 2. So he's gone and that one becomes a wreck, that's a pity.
Looking good.
And then the mortars.
Do it here.
Mortars is dead. And then 4 dice for reserves. One. So Peter has brought his reserve platoon in over here where they've got some good cover, definitely, to keep out of line of sight, so they can try and survive for a turn to get up to 2 dice each in shooting, and when they'll be very effective, I would imagine. But they've not really been able to survive intact to the point where they can do that so far. So Peter's shooting, he's going to fire those 4 Hellcats at the anti-aircraft elements again. He really doesn't like Laurence's anti-aircraft in this game. Suppose if you front armour 2, maybe that's good enough reason. It doesn't really matter what's shooting at you to a degree, it's likely to kill you. Anyway, he manages to get 2 hits and results in a kill and a bale. And the rest of his shooting, really, there's not much left. His artillery tries to range in, but doesn't manage. So that's it for Peter's turn 4 shooting. Laurence's turn 5. Now in the starting step, everything is okay for motivations except for the one single surviving anti-aircraft half-track that ran away. But he's still got to take an objective, folks. There's still plenty to play for. German turn 5 movement, and this is just about for Laurence is just repositioning to get line of sight or against the artillery grouping behind the hill and against the Hellcats that have moved on into that fenced field. He's also moved one Panzer IV into the wood with thoughts about future assaults, because he's got to kick those infantry out of the wood for the quickest way to a win. Laurence is starting shooting against the artillery park. Going to use his Panzer IVs here, but he doesn't manage to get any hits. He's still looking for 5s and 6s because these guys are careful and hard to hit as a result.
The hexers then.
The guns on it.
The tank.
Hexers going for the nail down.
5, 6.
Did he fire in your turn?
No.
So it's gone to ground, so it'll be a 7. That'll do it. Stage 5 power, no, that'll do it.
The 3 scouts will shoot at your HQ.
So Stoops into the wood, no hits.
Let's do this platoon. So he will shoot in the woods. Main gun. And then 4 shots from here, hitting 6s.
No hits.
The HQ with 3 shots, hitting 6s.
Oh dear, another hit, so
Any particular one?
The guy closest to you.
straight to firepower. He's a gunner.
2 King Tigers.
King Tigers are entering the game, so to speak. Hey, another hit.
I think it'll be straight through this one.
Straight
The
through.
guy on the end.
This one?
Yeah. The guy in the middle. This for you.
Right, so firepower. 6 again.
I'd be frustrated if it failed his firepower against the
We're just getting hammered. Laurence finished his shooting with artillery onto those Hellcats again and managed to bail one out, so there is only one active Hellcat in that platoon. So Laurence's starting step of turn 5, he's got some important motivations to roll for.
Try and bail him.
Remount. And he gets back in, so you're staying. And last stand.
Last stand for this guy. He's over here.
You're gone. 3 dice for reserves when you don't need it. Mind you, it's rolling 5. Peter's last 2 reserves. One, the security section's going after the artillery, and his HQ is moving over to give some much needed morale support to the surviving Hellcats. In Peter's movement, he's put his Hellcats out of all of that incoming fire to kill more anti-aircraft tanks. The HQ are moving over to support them. So the artillery is going to try and range in on those Panzer IVs, looking for a free space.
On a 4. First attempt.
First thing to do.
3 tanks. That's the lie.
Yep, all hit.
First guy.
Oh my goodness, chance to kill one. And he's bailed. So the artillery gets a bail on a tank, and that's quite often the way it goes. It's very hard to kill tanks with artillery unless there's some really terrible dice rolls.
These 2 it's too far. 2 shots on these guys.
On 3s. 1 hit, so I'll be straight at firepower. And we're gone. Peter finished his shooting with the security section against the artillery, but no effective hits. He's really running out of things to shoot back with now. German turn 6 motivation. This Panzer IV didn't get back in, but the hits are away over there. Dead. So German shooting, going for these guns again with these guys. Got 1 hit so far, and another hit. A couple of saves, that'll do it. 5 and 6.
Let's try and shoot the this.
As far as movement goes, by the way, folks, not very much, just moving a few things in for assaulting. There's only one base within 4 inches of that objective.
Yeah, main guns on this guy, 3 shots. 6 shots.
1 hit, too close for mistaken target. Saved. Try to get this one guy here.
So I'm going to shoot him.
Stugs are going to target him.
2, 4, 5.
5 dice, that's 1 hit.
Same guy.
And he saves again.
I'll start with these 10 shots.
Okay. 10 dice from them, and then looking for 5s. 2 each, that's usually the way they do it. 2 hits on each wildcat. First one, that's a fail.
What are your phone numbers?
2, 4.
Dead. And the next one, 2 chances to bail. No, so they're fine. It's not affected. And one of them's dead.
Now I can't shoot. I'll shoot him.
Okay.
And he will shoot.
Okay, the HQ firing. Nope. And nope.
Hit Tiger at him.
Oh, hit. Saved. You make your infantry save alright, but you can't save them. They've mostly been killed by the meat choppers. Okay, there's no real targets worth firing it with the artillery, apart from maybe these guys, direct fire.
3 Vulcan checks. 1, 2, 3. So this
We're in for the
guy.
assault. So cross check first of all. Commander's joining them. No. No. So it's just the commander. Right, no defensive fire, so 6 is a hit.
You get to choose.
No. Yes. So he's away. And then you have to motivate to counter-attack. It's 5 up with a reroll. No. That'll be it. Came over, they've broken off. The Germans were within 4 inches at the start. So they take the objective. So there you go, folks. What did you think of that? Personally, I think it was a tough one for Peter. The list he had, needing to pick himself up and move on to the objectives, unless you make a determined effort to sort of pinch off the attack so that they can't squeeze through where the 2 zones meet for your deployment, then they can get right on to objectives really quick. You know, it's a game where maybe you've got to be a bit more counterintuitive as a defender and say, well, I need more anti-tank assets on the table at the start, so I'm going to put some of my less mobile things in reserve so that I could, for instance, pop an ambush and maybe blitz Hellcat unit out to maybe take a platoon out in one go, and then you've got a bit of resilience to withstand the counter-fire in terms of the numbers you've got left compared to the numbers your opponent has got. You know, like 16 shots from Hellcats would have made a bit of a mess of aggressive medium armour, but just my thoughts. And as far as Laurence goes, well, we played it as he quite often does, which is aggressive, straight to the point. You notice he put his objective as close as possible to his own deployment zone so that he could just charge up the road. He positioned his stuff on the road so it could, you know, dash up there as quick as possible, get on the objective, and then force Peter to move him off. The one thing he did say was his King Tigers didn't do anything because he was very, very cautious about their flanks, you know, like making sure they don't show their vulnerable side to to any potential reserves. So in the next game he thought about using his tigers a bit more aggressively. So if you want to see the next game, it's going to be on next Saturday, folks. Laurence is going to be playing against Sean, who has a British motor company. So stay tuned for that. And as always, folks, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this game. There was plenty of action in it, and the next one's got even more action in it, I can tell you. Thanks to all the subscribers out there, and if you'd like to, please do subscribe, hit the bell button, and we'll definitely see you all on the next one.